class, our Guru Maharaj taught us that the mother is Matra Deva Bhava. First, the mother is the Guru. And today we're very fortunate in ISKCON. We have a mother who is the Guru of her children. She did homeschooling. Aruda Mataji, please come here on this. I'll give her a big round of applause. And they went to America and to a little place, Boise, is it called Boise? Boise. And so it was a village. So Mataji started the schooling of her children there based on Bhagavatam. And you'll be pleased to know that not only they became great devotees, great scholars, they came to Oxford University at the age of 21. They passed their PhD. So I think Mother deserves a big round of applause there. So today we are actually going to all become students. Even if you don't have children, you need to know how to learn Bhagavatam at least. And so please pay attention. And I don't know, Ishani, are you doing something for the children or should they sit here? And they sit here, okay. So Ishani looks after the children on Sundays. So you have blessed her already, have you? Yeah, you've blessed her. Oh, she does good. And being summer, people go on holidays. So I had advertised quite a bit. But today we're very fortunate that Sugandha Devi's children's birthday is there. So you've sponsored the feast. Give her a big round of applause. And the cake there, we'll be cutting it later. And also Shaurya is here. She was a student here at the university and she's going back. Everybody? Her parents have come and they listen to our program in Agra. Yeah, Agra. Regularly they listen to the program and they tell us, they enjoy it. And they were so grateful that her daughter, which Shaurya, wave your hand. Yeah, she was safe here and she loves singing bhajan and very enthusiastic. This is Prabhupada's plan that we should educate the whole world. Oh yeah, laptop. So Srila Prabhupada had a plan that the whole world needs education on Vedic culture. And Srila Prabhupada succeeded. Like wherever you go in the world, even Russia, Australia, Africa, there are ISKCON centers. And Prabhupada didn't believe in conversion or anything. He says this is education. Because Krishna consciousness is a science. Religion is faith. I believe in God. No, I don't believe in God. I used to believe in God, but God didn't look after me, so I don't believe in God. So that's that kind of religion. This is science of Krishna consciousness. So 2 plus 2 is what? Arey, simple. Jor se bolo na. Sure. Is it 2 plus 2 is? 4 or sure. So you realize that's science. You can't say I believe is 3, I believe is 5. So then Mataji based everything on Srimad Bhagavatam and the theory, creation, how creation came about. That's included in the Bhagavatam. And the scientists are catching up with parts of that Bhagavatam truth of creation. There's so much there. So please, today, you're going to be students and you're going to behave yourself. You're going to switch all your phones off. I better switch mine off before. And there'll be activity on the screen as well. So please make note. Even if you didn't come to prepare a workshop, please do so. It's your gain. Because we all have children and we're also children as well. And you will learn a lot. So I'm handing over to you and enlighten us. Whatever you want, please let us know. Get a glass of water as well.
Laptop. प्रभु और इधर करके थोड़ा और नहीं पास नहीं यहाँ साइड या लिटिल बिट हाँ ऐसे हाँ ठीक है
Some books next to you.
No, it's okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. So, very happy to be here at Coventry Yatra. I believe it or not, but I came here, I think 20 years ago or something. Maybe it wasn't. I actually don't remember. I don't know. Any of you remember me here? No. It's a new set of people. Yes, so it's been one of my first. The Coventry was one of the first yatras that I did this seminar. I think so. Yeah, I came with my son and we did it together. I remember that, and I think it was the same room, right? You haven't changed, right? Okay. Yes. Thank you all for coming, and thank you Haridas Prabhu for inviting me. Really feel very grateful and very honored to be here with all of you. And like Prabhu said, today I'm going to be giving you a small seminar, a short seminar, just the key points of what the art of Krishna conscious parenting. So this is for everybody, okay? It's not just for people who homeschool, okay? Just so you know, no matter what system of education you may have taken, it's the principles are going to be here. And it's based a lot on my experience, educating my children, as well as my traveling so much all over the world. I meet people, I hear from them, their experiences and all that, and mainly is a presentation based on Srila Prabhupada's instructions and his desires for our children, which is why we are here, right? So much to be grateful for Srila Prabhupada. And believe it or not, he's given us a process and a world in which everything can be found within it. In other words, it's so expansive that one doesn't need to go anywhere to find the answers, no matter what it is. Of course, we are here for understanding how to raise children, and Srila Prabhupada has given us everything in that also, in that topic. So this is a very nice quote by Srila Prabhupada. I thought it's nice to start with this. If we train children by developing and encouraging their propensity to love Krishna, then we shall be successful in educating them to the topmost standard. Then they shall happily agree to do whatever you ask them. In other words, we tend to think that, I have to raise my children as very good students and send them, to a nice school, which is natural, and college, and then spiritual life has to be added to it, right? That's how we think. But really, what Prabhupada is saying, that when we develop the propensity in our children to love Krishna, which means if we make them as devotees, they will naturally be very well educated. Very well educated. Why? Because it's very difficult for a devotee to be ignorant. I mean, I don't know if you met any devotee who's really ignorant, It's just the fact that he's a devotee, he's very intelligent, right? Because all the material that we have comes from the spiritual. See, one learns about Krishna, who's the source of everything, material and spiritually, your knowledge is complete. You really know everything. So this is, and of course, it may feel like, oh, wait a minute, this is too much, and something. But I had some experience of that, actually. And that's why I'm here, to share that experience, that exciting, venture that I went through. Of course, it had a lot of challenges, not without challenges, but there's nothing in this world without challenge, right? Nothing. So challenges are going to be there. I've seen people with, non-devotees who are so busy, because the nature of the soul is to be active, right? So one is going to get busy, no matter what. It depends on what you want to be busy with, So Prabhupada said that children are like deities. We have to take care of them very, very carefully. In fact, there's a very famous quote by Srila Prabhupada. He said, if we raise a generation of fine Vaishnavas, that will be the glory of your movement, of our movement, and the glory of your country as well. But if we neglect even one Vaishnava, that's a very great loss. Why? Because these children are not ordinary. We have to understand they are not ordinary. Why? Because they've taken birth in devotee families. It's one of the two blessings one can have, to take birth in a devotee family and to have and to have a spiritual master. These are the two biggest blessings one can have. And our children automatically come with that blessing, right? But we never decided that our children should come in our families, right? Did we decide that? Did we say this kid will come in my house, in my family? No. It's all up to Krishna, In fact, as you know, the third canto talks about a child in the womb of the mother and all the difficulties he goes through, right? So many difficulties, so much. He's completely trapped in the womb, worms biting and all that, right? At that time, the child is praying to Krishna, "Oh Lord, just get me out of here. I promise you this is going to be my last time. I promise you I'm not going to forget you. I promise, I promise." And what happens when he comes out? Due to the force of birth, he forgets everything. So it's natural for him to remember Krishna, right? So it means that we as guardians, we've been given that responsibility to help that soul to fulfill that promise. You see, he's forgotten, but it becomes, it's important for us as guardians to take care of him and to complete that journey, the soul's journey to Krishna. It's been started, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't be with us, right? But our business is to finish that journey, to help him complete that journey back to Godhead. In fact, Lord Rishabdev, when he's giving instructions to his 100 sons, he's saying that, right? You cannot be a mother or father or guru or a demigod if you don't take your dependence back to Godhead. In other words, anybody who gives shelter of any kind, his responsibility is to help that person go back to Godhead. Otherwise, we actually incur reactions, heavy reactions. So at least if we cannot do that completely, we should at least put them on the path and see it as a very big priority. Anyway, so this is, and Prabhupada, the reason why he spent so much time, with giving instructions on children is because he wanted good character for them. One of the visions of Srila Prabhupada was that the most important thing in a child's training is to give him good character. Why? Why do you think he needs good character? You see the society today, everything is there. People have skills, they have money, right? They have high education. Does it mean they have good character? The problem today in society is the lack of character. Everything is there, But because our, people who give guidance, that are leaders, they're lacking character, that is the problem. You see in the Bhagavatam, all these Rajrishis, they were emperors of the whole planet, right? Why they were so special? It is because they had qualities that was very pleasing to Krishna, right? Very, very pleasing to Krishna. So this is Prabhupada's vision for us, is for our children to develop good character. And good character only comes from where? It comes from knowing God. You see, today's schools are all secular institutions, right? You cannot talk about God, at least I know in USA, where I'm coming from. You can't speak about God. And I remember when my older son went to school, they went to school for a couple of years. He came back one day really excited. He said, Mom, my teacher spelled God with a small G. He was shocked. How can he spell God? So in other words, these things are not, valued in school. And character comes from knowing Krishna and serving Krishna. That's where character comes from. And this is what's lacking in today's schools, is any teachers. And Prabhupada said that you actually cannot be a teacher if you smoke and drink. There's a quote by him. You cannot be a teacher if you smoke and drink. In other words, you have to be a serious adherent of devotional service. In other words, you must do devotional service to be fit to teach a child. Why? Because character rubs on them. whoever is teaching them, the character, they will adopt the same kind of character, right? And you see so much struggle today, right? Why children are facing so much trouble is because they don't have good examples. They don't have good examples, right? There is a big problem, you know. It's just wherever I go, the problem is that. So there's so many authorities now. Why are we struggling so much? Is because we are not the only authority. There's a teacher in school who's authority. There's the internet, strong authority, right? So many people, their peers that they want to follow, right? So we are struggling, we are fighting with so many authorities. And who wins? Who wins? Why do they win? It's because the child is there 8 to 10 hours a day. Naturally they'll win. It's natural, right? So what do we do? Should we just give up and throw our hands up in the air and say, that's it? What do I do? And there are many parents who've done that, who are doing that. They've actually given up out of frustration and out of disappointment. I know I travel all over the world. And there was one father in Melbourne, Australia. He came and he had tears in his eyes. He says, I walk in and my son doesn't even look at me. This is, I don't know, but this is getting quite common. And he's a devotee father. And he says, you cannot do anything. You can't chastise him. He's going to complain or something, right? And then you'll be in big trouble. I know in America, the social, service will come and take your kid away or something if you do anything. You can't even do anything. And the time and again, you hear stories like that. I was in India at Meera Road Temple, and I was staying with this wonderful devotee family, doctors and very amazing devotees. And the children were going to school, and the daughter walks in, a young teenager. He says, Mom, don't speak a word to me. Just keep quiet. Even before just as so you see, and then the son was addicted to some comedy show. And he thinks the whole world is a comedy. So he thinks our parents are funny, everything is funny. You see? So you have cases, so he's just like feeling that everything is funny. So they don't take seriously. When I was in Denmark, the temple president told me, I just want you to know, okay, is that children and parents over here, they're equal. Same level. So please remember that when you speak. Okay. You see? So but don't be surprised. I mean, this is coming to us now very soon, right? We see that again and again. What to speak of the social media and so many things, So, there used to be a time when the child would come to you and say, Mom, do I look nice? And the mother would say, wow, you look so amazing. And they say, wow, okay, that's it. That was enough for her to feel good about herself. Now the mother is not even consulted. Where does she go for approval? Or he? Social media, right? So this is a lot of things happening here. Now a little bit about my journey in education. I started, when my children were 5, when they were 5 years old, I started thinking about a school because they needed to be educated. And so I started looking for schools, and somebody told me, well, private schools are better, you should do that. And I found a private school, and they went to school for about 2 years. And then I was volunteering time, like I would go and sit in their classrooms and do things just to check what's going on. I was a new devotee and all, inspired and all that. And so I saw that both materially and spiritually it was lacking. I sat in my son's class, and he finished his work about 20 minutes early. And all kids are really sharp. I've seen them 20 minutes early, and he was just sitting, getting bored. Now, teacher has about 30, 40 students in class. You cannot expect the teacher to be able to, give every child the special attention. And then value system, I already told you. I mean, one time the teacher spent the whole day just reprimanding that student for misbehaving, who was so badly misbehaved. The whole day was just not, it was wasted, right? So things like that, I started seeing problems, and of course, what to speak of. In my youngest son's class, one the teacher would have a boyfriend come and they would act intimately. So all these things, and of course there was some making fun of with his shika and his food and all those things. That's normal now, right? So anyway, so considering all that, I started looking for alternative education for them, and I found out in America, homeschooling is quite popular actually, and they are the people who homeschool are coming from pretty rich Christian families, and they care about their children, and they care about their values. So they are the ones who are educating them, and they can one parent can stay at home. That's also something we need in homeschooling, So I decided to try that. Now I was really nervous. You can imagine how nervous I was. All parents are like, "Oh, what will happen? I've got to get my kids through this, and he should have the best education, the best job in the world." I was thinking like that, and then after that, I thought, okay, let me do this in summer for 3 months in summer, and if it works, it works. Otherwise, they can go back to school. Very safe way. Because in America, you have 3 months off in summer. So I thought, this is so safe. I try it in summer, 3 months, because there's no loss. There's no loss, right? And so even if you did during the school, if you homeschool, after 1 year, if you decide to go back, they allow you to go back. It's not a problem, right? And I'm sure it's like that over here also. And so I decided to... then I ordered a curriculum, a whole year's curriculum. You can order that in America, right? Homeschoolers can have their own curriculum. It's like the public curriculum, the public school curriculum, but there are companies who will send you, especially geared to homeschoolers. Like the math book will be just geared for children who do self-study, where the math problems and math understanding will be designed in such a way that the child can do self-study. The wonderful thing about home education is that children learn how to be confident of doing their own study. They have such good study habits because they learn to be, capable, and they're not being spoon-fed, in other words, right? So...
Did you have to learn all that and then teach them? That must be the thing.
Learn.
They send you.
This... For somebody who's, older, young adult, this is elementary, totally elementary. For a long time, you don't need anything, no help, because till what 6th, 7th grade or something, things are quite elementary. Everybody knows 2 + 2 and English and all that. And all of us are coming. A lot of us are coming from India, and we had high education. All of us, right? Mostly. So anyway, I started teaching them, and you won't believe in 3 months' time they finished the whole year's curriculum. And believe me, we were studying like 2 hours a day only. Why? It's very, because it's quality time. It's a tutorial way of teaching. And today in Cambridge and Oxford, it's a tutorial system. And it's a very well-known universities who are still doing this way. One teacher with one student or a few students. And it's so powerful because it's a lot of interaction, a lot of one-to-one attention. And so this is a very old system, and it's an old Vedic system also. In India, the old Vedic system used to be like that. One classroom, one teacher, and a few students of different ages. Yeah. So in other words, you're not stuck with children of one age in one class. Prabhupada used to say, fools learning from fools. It never used to be like that. It was like different ages. So you learn a lot from your seniors, right? My husband tells me a story about Indira Gandhi. Everybody knows her? Yeah? Anyway, she became a Prime Minister of India, right? And how did she become a Prime Minister? She was not even high school passed. She didn't even finish her high school. She would, hang behind her father's chair and hear all the diplomats talking. She just learned by hearing all the politics, and she became so good that even without any education, So sometimes we tend to think education means sitting behind a desk, sentence behind a desk, 8 hours a day, otherwise you cannot be educated. This is what we think, right? But actually, surprisingly, real education happens outside the home. What you do when you come here, what you do when you go out. This is where the kids are learning, okay? This is where they really get education. So this was our experience, that after doing 2 hours a day of the basics, this and that, and then well, what we did was actually our day started with the morning program, and then we did Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. Like Prabhu mentioned, our whole curriculum was based on Srila Prabhupada's books. And not a formal curriculum at that time that I have now, but yeah. So we would do like 2 hours of Srimad Bhagavatam, mainly reading and discussion, mainly. And then after that, we would go out into the city to do programs. In other words, to apply what we had learned. In other words, we would set up tables, we would look at the city calendar, okay? So we'll see what was going on in the city. Then I would get in touch with them, book tables, do this, that. And you know how people, they celebrate everything you can imagine on earth. In fact, there's a thing called even Earth Day. Right? Earth Day, this day, that day. So many days, right? So many events that you would think that is so, that's so like, what is it? What can you expect in that, right? Not much. But for us, it was heaven, because we'd have a table, we'd have books, we had prasadam sometimes. My children were there, and we would distribute books and cookies or whatever, and they would get to communicate with these people, and talk to them. So we were very active, in different activities outside. And then sometimes we even did prison programs. We did that once a month, going into the prison, with the children. So they could see what's, obviously if you go to the prison, you'd never want to commit a sin, right? That's for sure, right? So we do, and then school programs. We did a lot of the school programs, going into classrooms and presenting our philosophy. Now, initially, obviously, children were small, so they couldn't present it so much, but they were helping us, explaining their outfit, their dress, their tilak, their dhotis. They were, doing the chanting. So they were doing something, right? And later on, as they got older, they got to actually do the presentation. And that was going to be the third part of my seminar, which is very, very important. I call it preaching is the essence, because that's where children start losing out in their teenage years, when doubts start creeping in. So by doing that, their faith is solidified. I'm sure you all are doing some things like that here, but when you have to present Krishna to others, what happens? If you have to make a presentation and you sit where I'm sitting, you better know the subject matter really good, right? Anytime you have to give it to others, give a presentation, you have to know in and out so well, right? So this is what happens when children go and speak in schools, anywhere. It could be anywhere. They get a sense of confidence and identity. When people clap for them, what happens? Yeah, they've become very happy and proud. Oh, I'm a devotee, I'm a devotee. It's so amazing. People are applauding me. People are clapping for me. It's a very amazing feeling. Children at heart, they want to show off. They want to show, right? They want to be little leaders. And we have to encourage them. So preaching becomes a very important aspect of raising children. It doesn't matter whether you're homeschooling or not. These principles are there for you, for anybody, because these principles are based on Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So they started doing what I was doing initially, my husband and I, and then, and this is how they grew. So this is pretty much, and then after that, I didn't finish it. Then after that, after buying that curriculum, I threw it out and I started teaching them from Srimad Bhagavatam. See, because Srimad Bhagavatam actually can take care of all your language arts, everything. Right? Prabhupada's books are masters and PhD level. high caliber of his books. And I'll show you the quote by Srila Prabhupada in which he says that. Mhm. So we just, I started, because one of the reasons I did that is because I didn't know, when they were going to school, there was no time. When they came back, it was so difficult to put them back in the devotional frame of mind. It was so much struggle for me, I noticed, to bring them back. Okay, remember, you're a devotee. You're a devotee, you need to do this or that. It was just like too much of a struggle, right? It's very conflicting for them. They've been there 7 hours, 8 hours, and now I'm telling them, change your environment. Just change, just forget everything you did in school. Just forget everything. But it's very hard. It's not fair on them, really. This is what I was thinking when I homeschooled them, that, the situation is very conflicting, very conflicting. Okay. So these are the 3 parts to my seminar. The first part is going to be on the home environment. What you should do at home to make your child Krishna conscious. And that's limiting internet and avoiding screen time as much as you can. I'm sure all of you have already started feeling that. Everywhere I go, even in London, everywhere, people are just so worried about their children's addiction to the phone. Like they have strict rules. That's very good. If you have some rules where, okay, this is the allotted time and all that, and people have softwares installed in that to prevent them from going to the wrong channels, it's absolutely okay to do all that. Because children, it's their reality. They're not going to see the way you see things. They're just curious. They want to know. And this seems like a very normal thing for them because everybody else is doing it, right? So we have to do the needful of helping them, right? A lot of children in America, they get into the wrong sites, the objectionable sites, just because they're spending so much time on the internet, they're browsing so much that they inadvertently they do the wrong click, They press the wrong website or whatever, and they are in this objectionable site. And these people who promote these sites, they are looking for occasions like that, where they know that children will end up here, and they plan it like that, right? So a lot of the children are not looking for anything; they're just curious. They're just browsing too much, and they're innocent, really. They're actually innocent, but they get into the wrong things, right? And very soon, what happens is they get addicted. That's the problem. The nature of internet is so addictive. It acts like drugs. They've done research. It's nothing that I made up. It's just like drugs, cocaine, taking cocaine. When you take cocaine, when people are addicted to drugs, there's a hormone that's released. It's called dopamine. And that creates urges to take more and more to keep up your drug addiction, right? So they've done research that internet addiction operates on the same level, same point. Yeah, the same hormone you release, and which creates addiction. I mean, I'm sure all of you have gone through some times in your children's lives where they can't leave it. They're trying so hard to leave the phone, but they can't. It's just the nature. It's the same for adults as well. Oh yeah. But for a child, it's more because he's young and he's curious. We can at least control ourselves and say we have responsibilities and say we can't act in that irresponsible. I mean, for child, time is there. Plus, he's curious, and plus, it's just very different, and so it acts in that way. And so that is the problem with the internet. It's very, very addictive. Very addictive. There was one girl in Denmark who came up to me and said, I know what you're saying about the internet, about phones. I cannot get away from it. And she says, my mother comes to me and says, she gets angry with me, and I practically want to kill her. I don't know what it is. It drives me so mad that I can't help it. And I know it's wrong. She was a very nice girl and very intelligent. And she says, I know what you mean. how bad it is, because I can feel that. I can feel that. So there's another person in a young devotee, really nice mother, and she came up to me and she said, you know, my son, he's 18, he's addicted, and so badly that he's been diagnosed with clinical depression. And these are nice families. And he says, now, you know, I have to get him professional help. He doesn't come out of his room. It's so bad. So all this, if you don't watch it, then it can turn into something like that. So we, again, if your temple is active, the children, they need alternatives. They need substitutes. Yes, Prabhu.
Actually, the companies who are behind social media, they have been pulled up. The companies who are in social media, they know about all this, and they're deliberately putting algorithms to do this. They have been challenged by the politicians, called before the Congress, and they've been directly spoken to by concerned politicians saying, what are you doing about this? They even shout at them sometimes, but it's water off a duck's back because it is profit for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are cases where people have killed others, children, and they're pulled up by the politicians, and they don't care because it's making money for them.
Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
So this addictiveness is being deliberately put in for children and grown-ups.
Yeah, these people know all about it. There's a story about Steve Jobs, who's the owner of Apple, right? Somebody interviewed him one time, and said, "Oh, your children must be having the latest gadgets. You're the owner, right?" What did he say? No, my children don't even have a phone. He's the owner. Don't even have it. Because he knows. He knows how bad it is. But they make a fool out of us. They've predicted that 10 years from now, people are going to wake up and realize what it's doing to our youth, to us, and they're going to make a big dive for stopping it, to limiting it. And just like smoking is going down in America, at least, because of propaganda. So bad, right? Same thing will happen to this, but we will be the losers, right? We will be the losers, right? We will be the ones. Okay, let me go through that. Okay, I know. Let me finish this section, then we can open it for questions. Okay. So who will be the losers? Us. Okay. So there's two problems with internet addiction, screen addiction. One is content. Nobody denies that, right? Content is bad, right? In other words, it breaks all the four regulative principles that we try to follow as devotees. Every one of them. Okay? It teaches us bad behavior. My son, he was on a flight, long flight, hours and hours long. And so he never grew up watching television, but, or anything. But he turned it on and he said it was true. Let me see what's going on. And you won't believe what he sees is 40 minutes show, which was saying the theme of that show was how stupid your parents are. Are you surprised? No. This is what's been now it's promoted in schools, that your parents are really stupid. Do you agree? That your parents you don't need to listen to them. They don't know everything. They're stupid. I mean, this is in public schools. This is very normal for teachers to promote that idea. And you see that all the time, the way children talk to their parents, right? When you pick them up from school, you hear conversations like, "Oh, shut up, Dad," things like that. It's very normal, right? It's very normal. No respect for the most revered people in our society, right? And so he saw this whole show, soap opera show where parents were stupid. So now, if you keep on watching shows like that, so gradually, you're gonna take that principle. Like, okay, they're not so amazing that I thought. So like that. So this is a very, so that is why we are losing our, hold on our children. They don't see us anymore as authorities, that they can respect and they can listen to, because there's too many authorities out there, right? So that's one thing, is that what you're watching. What are you watching? What is your kid watching? That is very, very questionable. Right? And the second thing is the medium in which it's given. And we just talked about that, right? The medium is very addictive, right? You can't leave it. People in America say 1 glass of wine is very good for you. Why? Because it makes the heart strong, right? And it's true. It may be doing that. But who stops at 1 glass of wine? Who stops? 1 glass, 2 glasses, 3 glasses, right? And then pretty soon you're drunk. So this is the nature of internet. You want to make it small. You want to make it for 5 minutes. It turns into 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. And pretty soon you're completely addicted. And the damage that it's doing to your brain, we have to educate ourselves in all this. Is damaging the brain. The retention is going less and less and less. There used to be a movie, they used to make movies where one scene would change into another scene after 3 minutes or something, or 2-3 minutes. Now it's, what is it? 15 seconds. You cannot handle it. You cannot take any scene which is longer than 15 seconds. So why? And because the brain is being damaged. And if you give it very early in their life, many parents take pride that I gave my kid, at 10 or sometimes even earlier, right? So what happens is the neurons in the brain, they go equally on both sides, a normal, healthy brain. So when you are exposed to this, then all your neurons go on one side. And that is the permanent damage. You cannot change that anymore. So giving it so early is the worst thing. Delay it as long as you can. And that too, for have restrictions on how long they can do. Parents are just so hesitant in doing that nowadays. I think it's the society and the atmosphere, but they're so hesitant in doing that, of checking, of having some kind of rule. Even the karmis will do it. They will have rules. Okay, you've got to be home at 8 o'clock. This is what you get, Even they do that, So in other words, we have to be able to speak out and to do what's important for our children. Children are, one mother was so afraid. She says, if I stop it, he'll go and commit suicide. I said, no, he won't. We just we are so afraid. Yeah, I was here in one of the centers, yatras. One parent came to me and said, my son is pretty addicted, but he's a good kid, He's doing really well in school. And she told me all the wonderful marks he gets, and he's doing so well. And she said, so I don't mind him being so addicted to his phone. And she says, the problem is when I have to have him do something for me, to help me, he doesn't want to do it. So sometimes I'm in such a desperate condition that I need help. So I keep the phone there as a bargain, as a bribe, literally, that you do this for me and then you can have the phone, like that. And then, he's a good kid because he comes for evening aarti. And he's a good kid because he does well in school. But he's addicted to his phone. And he doesn't care about helping his mom at all. So the people's idea about good kids also is changing. What is a good kid? So, just because he's doing well, any child in the UK or America who's a child of an immigrant will know that he has to do well. There's no choice. This much they know, these young children, right? Because they know this is the only way is to work hard, and that's how you're going to make in a country like this, right? So they're not going to stop working hard. The difference is the natives here, they may not see that so much, right? So there is nothing of pride to think that my kid is doing well. Of course he's going to do well, right? And also he's going to come for Aarti because there's too much pressure at home, to do artik, to attend the artik, even though the heart is not in that. Really, the heart is not there, right? So we have to be careful in how we see things now. Just we think that if these things are being done, then it's okay, He's a good kid. Of course he's a good kid compared to other kids out there. Of course. The things that the other kids may be doing, our children are not doing. But we have to really watch. We have to be very, very careful. Because these children grow up to be completely, irresponsible, not wanting, not caring they don't connect, in other words, they don't connect. They want to be their own species, have their own life, have their own music, have their own clothes. Have you noticed that? They don't really connect with you. There's a big generation gap now. It's almost like a generation valley. I don't even call it a gap anymore, right? I mean, they don't relate with you anymore, right? Music is different, this is different, everything is, clothes are different, right? So how to remove that gap? You see, in Krishna consciousness, there is no question of gap. Because we do the same music, we have the same dress, we have the same language, we have the same food. There's no reason for a gap. When we were running a restaurant in Boise, some young person came and asked my son, "Oh, so you are a teenager now?" And he says, yeah. And then he says, "How does it feel to be a teenager? Are you having some problems? Are you clashing with your parents or something?" And they looked at him like, "Really? I'm supposed to be there like that?" You see? So Krishna consciousness solves all the problems. We just have to take certain steps. And the only way to get over this is to give our children opportunities in Krishna consciousness. That's the only solution for limiting internet, avoiding screen time and all that. That's the only way. Because when you involve your children in Krishna conscious activities, you bring them to the temple. We should never go anywhere without our children. Never. Because as soon as you leave them at home, what happens? What do they do? Yeah, mobile, right? I was in Chowpatty, and my son and I, we did a seminar there. And you won't believe about 50% of the people were brahmacharis who were attending. And I was thinking, why are they here? This is all about parenting. And they said that the reason why we are here, we are very worried about our grihasthas. And because the parents are such wonderful devotees, they come and do so much seva, but the kids, they're not at all interested. They don't even want to come to the temple, so the parents come without them. And you can imagine what they're doing at home, right? So they wanted to help. They wanted to help the grihasthas see this. Even in Pune, when we did that, they said that it was so many good points that they got away to run their brahmachari ashram, which we will talk, a little bit later, but how not to force people to do japa and stuff like that, They also struggle in the ashram, When you're pushing down somebody rather than inspiring somebody, that's not good. So that is why it's important to do this, to be careful about these things. Educate yourselves. And main thing is that involve your children in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada gave us so many opportunities. There's festivals, there's dramas, there's speaking engagements, there's, cooking, right? There's Kirtan Mela, there's so many opportunities you can have. Giving them even association outside UK, taking them for Rath Yatras, taking them for Braj Mandal Parikram in Vrindavan. You're so lucky. You're closer to India than I am. For us, it takes twice the time to get there. It's the longest flight. Yeah. I think, wow, so fortunate to be here. You can always go to Karthik, Vrindavan. Karthik, we were going because we didn't have school, right? So we would go and attend and do the Braj Mandal Parikram, which was like 1 month long walk. Now, these things are very powerful. It has a very powerful effect on the children. Very powerful. Imagine walking barefoot on Brudge 20, 22 miles a day, kilometers a day or something, for 30 days. And then sleeping in tents, and, being rationed a bucket of water. And then in the evening, of course, wonderful classes. And in the evening, the kids would get together and do an impromptu play every day, every night, and jumping in the kundas and swimming across the kundas. Just amazing. It was almost like Krishna book came alive for them, right? Yeah, and so my son said it was a transcendental boot camp. And what to speak of the aches and pains you went through, right? A little sore legs and all that. And we would help each other with that. So the bonding also became very strong. And what to speak of the association of other devotees. So we have to think like that. What can I give my children to as a substitute for all these things, the wrong things that they are going into? Children are not at fault. We have to give them. Of course, the society is at fault, right? But we have to give them opportunities by which we can break that attachment to the wrong things, right? And for that, we have to be brave and courageous and creative. Many people come to me, well, I don't know what's happened to my kid. He used to be such a nice devotee. And now he comes into the temple and he's stuck way back at the wall, He doesn't want to, come and talk, or do, or show up, And many parents tell me they'll come, but they're just waiting to be on their phones and with their friends, right? So all these things are happening. So we have to involve them. And don't be afraid of doing that. Involve them. Yeah. No, I'm okay. Thank you. So that was some of the things we don't do, and this is some of the things we should do. Morning program, very important. Okay. Spiritual discipline, and it does something to the mind. See, the morning program, what it does, it acts like a shield. Okay, it acts like a shield. So, like a soldier will wear a bulletproof shield, he's protected, right? So when we chant the holy name in the morning and we remember Krishna and dance and sing, what it does, it acts like a shield, so that when the child or the parent goes out to work, he's able to take all those things, the undesirables that you see in society. It makes them stronger internally. It's a fact. Every time you read Shastra, how do you feel? You feel like really strong, right? In your spiritual life, right? And the same thing happens when you do, go to, sing Krishna's holy names. You feel stronger. You feel like, yeah, I can take the world. I can, I can handle it. The children need that strength. And the morning program that Srila Prabhupada has given us can do that. Of course, we have to be practical. We have to be flexible in a home environment. I went through that. It's not easy, definitely. We never got up at 4:30. We were running a center, and our programs would take us late into the night. So it was very hard to, get up so early. But we did it at a time when it was more practical, like 6:30 or something. We were very flexible. But one thing was for sure, that I made sure that we start the day like that. Now, with children going to school, it's a little more tough, right? So you have to make it very flexible and practical. If you can spare 10, 15 minutes for them in front of the altar, just even singing the prayers, that will make a big difference. That will make a big difference. Just even if they had to sing in front of the deities, okay? Or so they know this is and this kind of discipline will carry through no matter where they go. It will become a part of their nature. It will become a habit, right? So it's very important. And of course, we have to always remember to make it enjoyable. Don't push it down their throat. Don't make it like a punishment, So japa is the same thing. You don't make it like a punishment. You don't say, well, you've been so bad today, chant 1 round. Or you don't say, oh, you did 5 rounds today, here's an ice cream. So we're showing that there's something better than japa, right? The key to children doing japa is to do it with them. That's the best way. You've got 16 rounds to do. Chant 3 rounds, 4 rounds, whatever they're doing. Then they feel, oh, my parents are chanting or my mother is chanting. They feel more included, but also they don't cheat on you. Otherwise they'll tell you that I'm chanting, but they're not chanting, right? So you have to make it an enjoyable experience. Prabhupada said that. He said children should experience the joys of Krishna consciousness. Because our relationship with Krishna is voluntary. It's not forced. Krishna never demands. Even in Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, he never told Arjuna, okay, I've told you everything now. Now shut up and just listen to me. He never said that, right? He was always like, respected his intelligence, his independence. You know? Gave him a choice. Now you deliberate what you want to do. But here are the consequences. If you behave in this way, this will happen. But if you behave like this, this will happen. So Gita is a book on choices and consequences. It's not about, commandments. Do this, do that. So Krishna consciousness has to be given like that. Where the children, through Shastra, they can understand that if I don't do this, this will be the consequence. Because story after story after story is giving the the repercussions of unwelcome behavior, but also better than that is telling us how devotees react to different situations, right? So this is very important. Okay, prasadam, everybody knows, very important. Food affects our consciousness. Sometimes we get really lax. Children are eating all kinds of things. So these things are very good when you set an example, your own example at home. If we are eating all kinds of things, we are going to restaurants, obviously children will say, right? Examples are so very important, because, you try to preach to them, it doesn't really work. But if you show by example, that goes much deeper. These are the things that they will remember, And I'll tell you a little thing about when I was in Riga, Latvia, in Eastern Europe. And I was staying with a family, and she was telling me the story, wonderful devotee family. And she was telling me the story about her son who ran away from home at 15, when he was 15. He was a devotee kid, very nice, well raised, brought up, but somehow he got talked into by his friends and he ran away. And she was devastated. She didn't expect that at all. And everything was going well, and then he came back after some months, several months, and she asked him what happened. Well, yeah, what made you come back? He says, well, I was missing your cooking. Can you imagine? It was so flattering for her, but at the same time, what does it tell us, right? Is that these little things that we are doing for our children, making the effort to cook something, even though it's so difficult and so uncomfortable. And my sympathies do go for a lot of us, where it's just like a never-ending process. Cooking, cleaning, shopping. Then again, cooking, cleaning, shopping. It goes on and on and on. But I tell you, when you're serving prasadam, it pays off. When Prabhupada says that it cleans our heart, it means that. And we know that, right? You can change a person's heart by giving him a plate. You can be sitting there for 1 hour preaching to that person, nothing happens. And as soon as you bring a nice big plate of prasad with pakoras and this and that, what happens? He's all smiles. Oh, really? What is that? Why do you all do this? So what is chanting about, right? It acts like magic. Magic. So I know it's a lot of hard work, but let's do it. And the line that we would say to anybody who invited us, that's a challenge, right? People who invite us, they're not devotees sometimes, right? What do? Then and schools and so many things, so many factors. We used to say we don't eat in a kitchen from a kitchen that cooks meat. We don't eat from a kitchen that cooks meat. Otherwise, they'll put all kinds of vegetarian food in front of you. I promise you this is vegetarian. And guess what's in it? Eggs, perhaps beef stock or something, which they consider vegetarian. Even some of them consider eggs vegetarian or fish vegetarian. So they're thinking they're giving, but how do you control it? By telling them, we don't eat from a kitchen that cooks meat. The matter is solved. And then you stick to that principle all the time. Don't change it. Some place you go, oh, it's okay to eat. Some place, no. Everybody sees your principles are the same. This is what you follow, right? You don't change it. And they actually respect you for that. People respect you for having your own principles, right? They actually respect you. And the same thing is when you go to work and you have colleague parties and this party, well, same line. And then you eat accordingly. You have a salad, you have a fruit plate, and pretty soon people will envy you and say, wow, you are really healthy. Right? You are really healthy. What is it about? Why are you vegetarians? So you have to have that strength, to be able to do it yourself before you can tell your children. One mother came into Boise and she said, I said, you don't eat meat. Why are you giving your children, allowing them to eat? Oh, I feel so sorry for them. What can you say, right? So much can be said, but good association, very important. Very, very important, right? Just like we care about who we associate with children, we have to worry about who they're associating with. Now, they're going to school for 8 hours a day. What do you do, right? There are devotees there, right? So what do you do? So the way I see it is that, there's this thing called casual friendship and there's a thing called intimate friendship. So casual friends are those that you just hang around with, like in school, right? You play with them, you associate with them in classroom and all that. So that's not so harmful as much as when we spend intimate times with them, like even sharing food or spending time in their house. That's called intimate association, and that's what can be very damaging. So you make a distinction about, okay, the casual friends are okay, are in school, but their intimate friends are who? Who are they? Who should be their intimate friends? Yeah, the devotees who come here. Devotee children who come here are friends that should be their real friends, the intimate friends, who they share food with, right? They may have a sleepover also. So the child should be telling you that, oh, I have so many friends in school, but you guess what? My real friend, my real friend is this devotee child. If your child is saying that, that means it's okay. Where he realizes the difference between those friendships and this friendship. He should be able to discriminate, okay? But we cannot stop him from associating in school. That we cannot do. But by giving him better association and by giving him benefit of morning program Shastra, he's able to understand and discriminate why devotional life is better and why I am a devotee and why I should hang out more with people like that. And you have that advantage because you have a nice community here. Some people are, they don't have that advantage. So we have to always help them with that. Devotee friends, even though they are few, sometimes we think they have to be friends with everybody in school. They must be loved by everybody. It's not even possible for a karmi kid to be loved by everybody. Everybody has a tendency to, go towards just one or two good friends. Nothing wrong with that. If in the whole school they have just one or two good friends, we don't have to make them the most popular people. It's not possible for anybody to be like that, right? So we don't try to make them the most popular or try them to fit into everything, okay? Nobody fits into every group, nobody. And a child growing up to be a devotee always feels confident about who he or she is and is able to reply and give answers to anybody who's curious to know. If anybody is curious to know in school, why are you vegetarian? Why, he should be able to answer that. And that's why Shastra is very, very important. So here, good association can come through so many things. Festivals, Sunday school, plays, all these are so important. For our children, bring them here, let them participate in dramas. let them come for festivals, engage them. I know one child in Boise, he built the whole sound system for the temple. He was just so sharp in that area, and it gives them the confidence, right? There's a group in America called the Mormons, right? You've heard of them. And it's required for them to do 2 years of active preaching for young people. They go abroad. Oh yeah, they always go abroad to remote places on their own with a few other students. And they go out door to door, and there's a lot of austerity they go through. Sometimes they may go to, Lord knows, Bahamas or Trinidad or something like that, right? And so they train like that. And these young people come back really strong, right? So that makes us think that maybe that is a good way. Maybe we don't want to send them, right? But at least we know that, they need to be out there and to be able to share Krishna with others and be able to be strong. Now, these Mormon kids, you can't convert them or do anything. They're strong, right? In India, there was this big scandal. Remember the Kerala story? You remember that? Yeah, Kerala story? And the Hindu kids were the target because they didn't know their philosophy. So all these Muslims were converting them, Christians were converting them easily. It became a big scandal. They made a movie out of it. And then people started realizing, that, it's so true. We don't give our children enough philosophy, enough tools to be able to answer why they're devotees.
Yet we have the highest philosophy.
Yeah. It's just a matter where we don't want to put that effort, right? We don't realize how important it is to give that. We have everything. The philosophy we have, we don't know, they don't even have that. They just do it by fanaticism and brainwashing, They create that aura in their children. But here we don't have to do that. We don't teach them fanaticism. We just want to teach them good philosophy. So here's the books are the basis. This is the second part of my seminar, and that is the importance of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are quotes by Srila Prabhupada. Our students specifically, they should take care of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We have therefore prescribed in our school dallas, and from the very beginning, if they begin education with Bhagavad Gita and then come to Srimad Bhagavatam and read the whole literature, then they will be more than MA, PhD. Even astronomy, astrology, politics, sociology, atomic theory, everything is there. Therefore, if you study Srimad Bhagavatam very carefully, then you will get all knowledge completely. Throughout the whole world, whatever knowledge is there is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. If one simply reads the Srimad Bhagavatam, his education is the topmost. If one studies Srimad Bhagavatam, he is well versed in every subject matter. So these are just a few of the quotes, many, many quotes Srila Prabhupada has spoken about the importance of everyone reading Srimad Bhagavatam, but also the children, right? So he's saying that, and we know that when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you can feel how the level of English is so high, and not only English, but the level of deep reasoning and critical thinking is like no other book, right? No other book. No story is simple, right? No story is simple. It goes very, very deep. Any story that you take from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And his Prabhupada is saying that every subject matter is covered in this. And also teach them Srimad Bhagavatam, and that because it covers all the subjects, he will have a basic understanding, Vedic perspective of all the subjects, so that when he does have to do the subjects from a from the outside perspective, which is a materialistic, atheistic perspective, he will not be diverted. Okay, so that is why he's saying how important it is. Yes, yeah. I will just mention it really quickly. Yeah, so this was our experience. Okay, this was our experience when our children went to they went to college early. And believe me, it was just by accident. How would I think about sending them to college? Homeschooling was completely new in ISKCON at the time I did that anyway. I had no clue what I was doing, other than I could see that when they studied Prabhupada's books and they did all these other stuff, fun stuff in the temple. By the way, my children thought homeschooling, anybody asked them, how much did you study? They said, really? They thought it was one big play. One big playtime. Why? Imagine, Bhagavatam is amazing, right? You wouldn't think of as a study. Bhagavatam is so inspiring, right? And then preaching and all that. Where is the study there, right? But I knew how much study was going on. I knew, but they thought it was one big fun. And so that is why Bhagavatam can be very, very inspiring for our children, and it won't feel like a tedious work, because the nature of Bhagavatam is very inspiring, right? Very powerful. So anyway, we were running a restaurant, and they were just 12 years old, and somebody came. The chairman of the English department, he used to like eating at our restaurant. So he would come sometimes, Dr. Chaman Sahani, and he noticed that these kids really had a good command over the English. So he told me that he says, why don't you give them a class, just one subject in the university, at Boise State University, and it'll be nice, because it was something that happens to children over there in high school. If you're a high school kid, you could take a class at the university level as part of the dual enrollment policy. So it wasn't unheard of, except these kids were not even in high school, right? So it was a little bit shocking. And so he said, no, why don't you give him an English composition class, because he's got a good command over the English. I said, okay, well, let's try it. And then we went and we spoke to the dean, and he had a few reservations, and he asked him to do an entrance exam, which is a basic entrance exam to check your English level, and he scored in the 90s. Okay, so he said, okay, you can do it, and you go and talk to the teacher, and if she agrees, then he can go. And then it was very late in the semester, so all the classes were full. The basic level 101 was full, 102 was full, and he kept pushing us. He said, no, try for the honors class. So I said, honors class? And then that was not offered on that semester. So he said, okay, try for the honors second level class, which is the most senior most class. And that had some seats. And so the teacher agreed just to try it out and stuff. And so he went. And he talks about his experience in a pink book there, right there, where he talks about the experience of walking into a classroom with kids 6 or 8 years older than him. And he couldn't figure out, what's going to happen now? And then they gave him the syllabus. Everybody got the syllabus. And he saw books on it that he had never heard about. Shakespeare's Hamlet, Homer's Odyssey, a lot of classical writers, and he couldn't make sense of it, what's all this? Anyway, and then the teacher started giving assignments, and obviously he had to read the books. And then when he read the books, he was actually very amazed that it's actually not very strange at all. There were many similarities he could see. There was, sections where there was mention of the Greek gods and demigods, which he could relate with, and also banquet feasting a lot. And then he was relating it to Chaitanya Charitamrita. And what was amazing that while other kids were just trying to do the plot line and the storyline, and what was he doing? He was getting deep into it. That's what surprised the teacher. While the other students were just talking about the story of Hamlet or whatever, this kid was going deep into this book, deep into the story, answering questions like, what is Shakespeare's view of the world? Because Shakespeare also mentions about reincarnation and things like that, right? So the teacher was so impressed, gave him a straight A. You see? So, and he was surprised himself. I was surprised. Everybody was surprised. How could this happen? And this was due to the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. You see? So we all know that Srimad Bhagavatam gives us good character, right? The whole purpose of reading Srimad Bhagavatam is to go back to Godhead. But the point is, and that comes through direct association with these great personalities. Character training. You cannot get that in any book besides Srimad Bhagavatam. You cannot do that. You know, this story of Prahlad, which is also a child's story, when you think about it, there's so many lessons there, right? So many lessons. It seems like Prahlad is such a passive boy. He just sits over there and folds his hand and, okay, Krishna, just save me, doing nothing. I remember when I first read the book, I said, what kind of response is that? Here his father is trying to kill him and he just like, you know. Of course, he's a child, but still you start thinking, okay, this is another category. I cannot relate to it, right? But no, he actually, when you read, and you read Srila Prabhupada's purport, you realize that Prahlad, he resists the hatred in his father in the most powerful way. He's not passive. What defeats his father was the fact that he did not buy into his frame of mind. Right? He refused to think the way his father thought. You're either my enemy or my friend. That's what he said. You know? Because he kept prodding him. Prahlad, are you my friend? Are you my enemy? Who are you? And Prahlad said, Father, I'm not none of the. I'm not your friend because Krishna is the only friend, and I'm not your enemy either because I'm going to speak what's good for you. That's all, you know. And finally, that's what defeated Hiranyakashipu, and he actually felt defeated. Such a powerful demon who had won over everybody, everything. He got defeated. That means Prahlad had that inner strength. He was speaking truth to power, right? And this is what we learn, that in a world which is full of so many Hiranyakashipus, how do you deal with it? How do we train our children to deal with it? This is what Prahlad is saying. He had so much strength, inner strength, but also he had compassion. And they both have to go together, right? If somebody mistreats you, you have to speak up. You have to speak up. Otherwise, it's just being a coward, right? You have to. If you have the capacity, you have to speak up. But speaking up to mistreatment doesn't mean that you should. It should not evoke hatred in you for that person. The reason why Prahlad was so successful is because it was based on the element of compassion. But he refused to accept who his father was, right? He knew that he was doing the wrong thing. He actually thanked the Lord for killing him because he was giving so much trouble, right? So he understood what was happening. He understood but how did he react to it? So you see in Bhagavatam, every story is not about the problems so much as how a person reacts to problems. We all will be having problems after problems in material life. Our kids cannot escape that. But how do you respond to it? How do you react to it? That is what we learn in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Are you just, you know, because Hiranyakashipu's life was based on vengefulness, revenge, anger. You learn so much about anger here, how anger can destroy you. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam can become a case study on how to deal with anger, right? So many people, right? The 4 sages getting angry on Jai and Vijay, you know, Hiranyakashipu getting angry, Dhruva getting angry on the Yakshas, right? So what is good anger? What is bad anger? Right? This is what they're learning. How to deal with these, how when it comes up. And you know, look at Dhruva's story, right? Dhruva was so angry when he walked out, right? How did his mother channel that energy, that anger, in the most powerful way? In a way that set his life forever, right? So many things. I mean, as you read, you will see. It's just a lot of things here, right? So this is. But my point here is that we all know that it gives good character, right? It gives us all those good qualities. You know, like suppose if you had to teach your child to be grateful to you, how do you teach it? Just something very simple. If you were to say, you know, I've done so much for you, you should be grateful. You know, you should be grateful. I've done so much for you. What do you think the response the child will have? What?
You gave me birth,
yeah.
so you have to look after me.
Yeah. And they say, what are you talking about? What is that? Right? So, how do you teach a child to be grateful? Not only the parents, but to the Vaishnavas, to all the Vaishnavas, right? Is through these stories, right? Like the quality of gratefulness of Dhruva, right? He would not step on the airplane till his mother was already on the plane. Why? Because he was so grateful to her for giving those instructions. And those instructions were not ordinary, right? She's giving those instructions, the same instructions that is her co-wife did, but how she turns it around. Anyway, so these are some of the things. And then there was one child, okay, who was only 5 years old. I was teaching him the Dhruva story, and we came to that part where Nanda and Sunanda come. They bring down the airplane to invite Dhruva to sit on the airplane so he could go back to Godhead. When he had finished, after 36,000 years, he had finished with ruling the world and all that. And he comes, and so this child was reading this beautiful description of the airplane and Nanda and Sunanda sitting. And so he said, I want to go on that plane right now. I want to go. Can I go on that plane? And I thought, I told him, oh, yeah, one day you can go. When the time comes, you'll be ready. And then we started reading more, and then from Prabhupada's books. And then he stopped me again. He said, no, but I want to go on that plane right now. He just got so fascinated, so inspired. So I told him, I said, okay, you can go. I was thinking what to say, right? So I said, you can go, but remember your parents cannot go. Is that okay? And then he started thinking for a little while, and then he said, I think I'm going to wait because I don't want to make the same mistake that Ajamal did. Can you imagine? 5. But there are many children like that I've encountered at that age. This is how they think, how they can bring two stories together and put it together. And the story of Ajamal we did a long time ago. Okay? So in other words, it's not like something recent. Yeah. But he could bring, it goes so deep, these stories, because these are absolute figures. These are transcendental personalities. This is not an ordinary book that you pull out in a library. These are real personalities, very powerful. Krishna has been mentioned. They're all absolute personalities, right? So they make an impression on the heart that other books, that other stories will not. So this is the nature of changing their hearts. The whole purpose of reading Srimad Bhagavatam is to transform their hearts. And once their hearts are transformed, everything is at the door. All the demigods are waiting with folded hands, waiting for the devotee to accept them. All the qualities, right? Wealth, scholarship, beauty. This is what we want to see in our children. And rightly so, right? But the demigods are saying, I'm waiting there for the devotee to accept them. So therefore, we give them these deep qualities that we are hoping our children will have. They come through the Srimad Bhagavatam. You cannot really teach them. Bhagavatam is not just moral stories. We like to think of them as value stories, isn't it? Value stories. But they are more than value stories. The sages weren't sitting there making value stories. To be, lie or not to lie. That you can figure out. You can do it with your willpower. Okay, I'm not going to do this. But this is more than that. These are ethical stories that give us very deep traits, deep character within our hearts, right? Because you see in the Bhagavatam how two things could be both of them could be right, similar, right? But what decision do you make? Which is right? Bali Maharaj, his guru was standing in front of them. Yeah? And then Vamandeva said, which way should he go? Should he listen to his guru, who's a representative of Krishna himself, or should he go to Vamandeva? But he could see, he could discriminate that his guru was not giving him the right instructions. So what Bhagavatam does, it takes you to the highest level. It really takes you to the high level where you know the purpose of life is to please Krishna. In other words, this Sanatan Dharma instead of Kula Dharma, our own Swadharma. It's more than that. And within that, Parodharma is everything. Swadharma will be included. In other words, if a child is a great devotee of Krishna, he will naturally be very obedient and good child of his parents. It's impossible. It's impossible for a devotee child who's a really nice devotee to be rude to his parents or to be bad to his parents. It's not possible. It's not possible. He may have a few occasions like that, because he's not a perfected soul. He's trying to be perfect, but he's not a perfected soul, right? So it's not possible. And you see that again and again in Bhagavatam, right? Anybody, you see Mahabharata, right? Draupadi, Uttara, Kunti, all these great women, they were known for their chastity to Krishna, right? There were so many big husbands sitting there. Draupadi pulls out her hand to plead to Krishna, right? Right? Kunti, in the end, the prayers, if you see, she's saying, okay, Krishna, you're the one, right? Every one of them you see that. But you notice how within their chastity of Krishna, they were the most chaste women to their husbands. It comes automatically. Draupadi was known as the most chaste lady to Krishna because she called out to Krishna, and she was known as the most chaste wife to her husbands. Even though her husbands did not help her during that time, but she continued. She could understand why, of course, but she continued to serve them. And in the end, she was rewarded being the queen of Hastinapur. She sat next to the Yudhishthira Maharaj. That was a reward for being chaste, because that pleases Krishna, right? That pleases Krishna. So she was known as the most chaste, glorious woman, being chaste to Krishna, but she's also known as the most chaste lady to her husbands, because that will naturally follow. So if you make our children devotees, all the good qualities will come. Otherwise, no. I know so many parents who are crying right now. They know, they see their future bleak. Their kids are already young. They've finished their studies. They've gone to work, and she knows the future looks bleak because you can already see they don't care about you. A little bit, everybody does, right? But that heart is not there. Something is gone. There's some emptiness coming over now because the kids, you've lost them. Right? So in order to stop all that from happening, we have to give them this deep, deep character training. And then, of course, there's more than that in Bhagavatam. This is what we pursue, why we pursue, right? But also, along with it, is giving these skills, as you can see on the slide. Reasoning skills, critical thinking skills, communication skills, and good work. The critical thinking skills and strong reasonable abilities is very, very important. Because a child going through Bhagavatam can figure out anything in the world. When my children went to college so early, they were doing subjects like anthropology, sociology, every subject you can imagine. Even science. They were doing science for the first time because they were only 12, and that's as much as they had done. I mean, I had the 5 R's that I had in the earlier slide, so we hadn't really done except for reading, writing, arithmetic, rote, and raga. We did 5 things: reading, writing, arithmetic, rote, and raga. And within that, if the child becomes very good in language arts, he can master any humanities. You put anything in front of them, psychology, because their capacity to comprehend and to understand difficult subject matter and difficult language is enough to make them good at any humanities, right? And science, and if you teach them good maths, then they can do any sciences. And so I was teaching them language from the Srimad Bhagavatam and math. They had a math book. Okay, so math takes care of all the sciences, and that's why when they went there, and actually even before maths, language comes. If you're strong in language, math becomes easier actually, right? So because the language was very strong, like Srila Prabhupada said, Bhagavatam gives you masters, brings you to masters and PhD level. They were even able to do chemistry and physics for the first time. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, it's just unbelievable. But that's where I got the faith. It's not like I came with that faith when I saw the result. Yeah, yeah. Of course, you have to study a little bit and this and that. Yeah. Because there was no chance to do anything for me. It was too early, right? And so my younger son, he did my older son did, a dual major in math and philosophy, and the younger one went into sciences. And my younger one, at 17, he graduated from undergrad, from his engineering college, in the whole college. And it's nothing like IQ was big or anything like that. It's just Bhagavatam. Because it sharpens your brain. Imagine doing these stories where there's no simple answer. It goes through one layer and then another layer, another layer, another layer. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And you have to figure out, it's not a simple story. Why did, Parishanath throw the snake? Why did he not curse back, right? Somebody is such a big king. Why would he not do that, right? And then other nuances. How does Shringi behave? How does Parikshit Maharaj behave? How does Shamak Rishi behave? And then, there's a whole lot of things going on in one story, right? So child learns how to manage so many, so many things, so many topics in one story. Even the Jaya Vijay story. Who's right? Are the four sages right? Or Jaya Vijay is right? Huh? Yeah, like commentators, some of the commentators, they say Jaya Vijay is right. Some say they are divided because the story evokes that response. And there's so many arguments. One time I did this Jaya Vijay story with 8-year-olds, and they went back and forth. No, but I think this one is right. Why? Because he was doing his duty, He was meant to stop them. They were not quite pure devotees or something. But the sages, they had such a desire to see the Lord, and they shouldn't have stopped them, right? And then they get cursed, with him, and then obviously, how did they handle the curse? Did they curse back? They had a lot of power, Jay and Vijay. Did they curse them back? No. They were so submissive, right? So, and then Krishna, of course, walks in as a transcendental mediator, right? And he completely confuses them. And he says, by glorifying the devotees, he's making the sages feel really bad. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. Devotees are so dear to Krishna. What did we do? My Lord, punish me. Punish us. We've done the wrong thing. So many nuances, so many things in one story. After we finished, one child said, oh, my brain is going to explode. But the brain never explodes. Brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the better it gets. It's a muscle. And this muscle, when we watch the screen, is not being used. Because why? Because it's a one-way street. It's a download from the screen to the brain of the child. There's no interaction. Everything is given to the child, visually, sound-wise. So the brain becomes mentally lazy. And because of that, they don't want to figure out things. They don't want to figure out. The brain is trained not to think. Really. When you're reading a book, you have to think. You have to decode the words. You have to think, oh, this must be going on. The police is chasing the car, and this is happening and that is happening. You have to be creative, right? Even in a radio, when you hear the radio, you still have to be creative. But when you watch on the screen, all that is given to you. You're completely being spoon-fed. So we don't want to do that to our children, right? So this strong reasoning abilities and critical thinking, and so much abstract thinking in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In order to understand difficult spiritual concepts, Prabhupada gives many material analogies, right? Just like to understand the difference between the body and soul, what analogy does he give? To understand the difference between the body and soul. How do we understand it? In a conditioned state, we cannot understand we are the soul. What example does Srila Prabhupada give? What analogy does he give?
Well, I use the car and the driver.
Exactly. This is what he does. So again and again, Srila Prabhupada's books, we'll see the way to understand difficult things is to use this abstract thinking. And that really works. To a child, if you tell him, this is how you understand. Car is the body and the driver is the soul. And there's a difference. You give the car petrol, but you don't give the driver. And Prabhupada argues, he says, when we don't give petrol to the driver, people wonder why. They cannot understand why we don't give petrol to the driver. And because we give the driver more importance, and because they don't understand that, people don't value our movement. It's because they don't know there's a difference between the car and the driver, the body and the soul. So again and again he argues that in such a simple way, even a child can understand this analogy, right? So then he says that both are important. You have to take care of the body, but out of the two, which is more important? Out of the two, which is more important? The driver. Whether he's in the car or he's outside the car. Whether he's in this body or another body. What is more important is the driver.
But if they're on a journey, the car is important.
Yeah. 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 You see? So like that, Prabhupada gives so many analogies. One time he was arguing with a cardinal or somebody, pastor. Yeah. Where he was arguing with him, he said animals don't have souls. That's what he said, right? And he just went on and on. You eating, he's eating. The animal is eating. You sleeping, he's sleeping. You have children, he has children. When your body is cut, his body is cut. When why do you deny one thing? Why do you why are you denying that they have a soul? When everything is similar, how can you? This is not logic, he said. This is not logic. See, when a child goes through all this, and this is the only way to understand deep philosophical truths. And these are the skills that the schools are trying to give our children. It's true. In the primary level and secondary level, they're trying to give. But it doesn't come so powerful because the facts are not Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So imagine teaching them. These skills, if they are taught, they can be the best scientist, the best lawyer, everything. We should never think that our children cannot become scientists if they become devotees. Because they get so sold out on Srimad Bhagavatam, so how will they deal with the material world? In my case, it wasn't true at all. The reason is because so much of Prabhupada's books is dealing with the material world and the nature of the material world and how to live in it. They're hearing from the perspective of the Shastra, right? And they're experiencing through the Shastra. They understand what is the nature of this material world and how to live in it. They are more grounded than anybody out there not studying the Bhagavatam. They're very grounded. People say if you don't give them these experiences of material life, how will they make it? But Prahlad never did that. He just heard within the womb of his mother, right? And he knew all about it. He's telling his father, look, it's time for you to move on. Family life is a hellish situation, he says, because he's experienced that, right? He knew it was hell for him, right? But it doesn't have to be hell. And he's telling him that, yeah. So he's giving all this real philosophy just by hearing, right? Children going through Bhagavatam, they're more centered, they're more grounded, and they're more motivated to study mundane subjects. It's a completely fallacy that children who are given so much of Krishna consciousness in the form of Shastra, this and that, they will just be out in the clouds. They will not relate with this world. They will not have any incentive to do well in this world. I mean, why? I mean, every story in the Bhagavatam is about kings doing their duties. Right? Parikshit, Yudhishthira Maharaj, they're all doing practical things. Krishna told Arjuna, can't go to the forest. It's not true. In fact, it grounds you more where you have motivation to do something in life because you know the purpose of life. The reason why there's so much difficulty among kids out there is because they don't know the purpose of life. They get so skeptical, right? Suicide rate among kids is shooting up. Shooting up. In one school in Utah, it's gone up to 140%. And just because life is very, disappointing for them. They don't know the answers. They see things going wrong in society, but they don't know what the solution is, right? So they turn to drugs, this, that. So our children are not like that. If they're given this proper education, they don't need to be like that. They actually have a reason to be, to want to be here in this material world and help others. Srimad Bhagavatam evokes compassion in them. Because all these stories are not just about Krishna never kills practically never kills the demons that he encounters. Every story is based on the level of compassion. So children growing up, we don't want them to become fanatics, right? We have to. Yeah, so it's.
I want you to say something about the books.
Yeah. So the books are here. We have a team of a lot of people, devotees who we are creating these books, resources for our children, and they are from cantos 1 to 6. Okay, so one book is one canto, and these are made for children. So what do we have here? As you can see on the screen, chapter summary, a nice summary, themes for the teacher or parent, higher thinking questions, and these are called the discussions questions, where you take a topic and you discuss, where you take a chapter and you discuss, and analogy activities, drama, art, critical thinking activities, introspective activities, language activities, science in areas where we need that. So all this, and plus a lot of answers to help the teachers and parents. So this is this helps the children to do systematic study, chapter by chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, just like adults do. Okay. Now these books have been accepted. And we also are doing the Bhakti Shastri for children. I mean Gita and all that. We've just finished the 3 volumes of the Gita. Now we're working on NOD, because as per the desire of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami, he's been really promoting this, that children, before they turn 18, they should have Bhakti Shastri degree and Bhakti Vaibhav degree. Guess what? And the reason is we have to save them. It's very, very important. We were doing only Bhagavatam. We were just working on that. He said, no, now you have to do Bhakti Shastri. And because of his blessings and everything, they've been accepted by the ISKCON Board of Examination in Mayapur to be the books for Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. For children. In other words, children studying these books can give that exam and actually get that degree, which means the final degree. So this is something wonderful that's happening here, and many schools have taken this up, and like the Manor has agreed to roll this out. By the way, the Manor School of Bhakti has rolled it out. Plus, we have other schools. Pune has also accepted. Other schools in Delhi have accepted. So we're just starting to let people know and everything. And so these books are helping the child. And this in a very child-friendly way. That's the main thing. If you give Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav to children in an adult way, they will go through it. Just like a school work they go through, right? It's cumbersome, it's difficult, and they'll think it as a burden. And they'll never develop an attraction for Bhagavatam ever, right? You have to give it to them in a child-friendly way. Okay? And I just wanted to show one little thing on the books.
How about some adults looking through that? Because I think many adults don't know what's in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
That could help them as well, because it's simplified.
Oh, there's many adults who are using these books for themselves. Yes. And many, some sannyasis who are giving the Bhakti Vaibhav online, they're also using them. Yeah.
So I would say some of the adults should buy it and get to know what's in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Because no good pretending you know Bhagavatam. It's only for the children. It's for the adults first, so you can answer the children, what Bhagavatam is. So I would recommend that, please, if you don't have children, just buy it anyway. You'll get some children in future.
Anyway, so these books are 6 books, plus the parenting book or the pink book is also part of that. It's included. So you can have, and then the Gitas are separate. So our publisher, he's charging 90 euros, pounds for one set, which includes the homeschooling book and all that. Okay. So it's very, very reasonable, because on Amazon you get it much more. And that takes care of Bhakti Vaibhav. But it's not meant just for a degree. I mean, you can study Bhagavatam with the children through these books, and it makes it very, very easy and fun. Can I show this one? Yeah. No, it's okay. There's one more. There's a 10-minute on that pen drive on Kunti's something to say with Kunti. Can we show that? It's only 5 minutes. I'm going to show you a little video of one chapter from these books that you can see what are these activities like and how you teach them. Okay?
It's good.
Huh?
Like it. A round of applause for her.
Thank you. Yes.
Once we have discussed the chapter with our children, we are ready to move on to a comprehensive guide for young readers.
Louder. A little bit.
Almost coming to the end of.
So here you can see the story summary here. We're just going to go through one chapter, that's it. This is chapter 17.
In the discussion directly from Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. So I jot these down right next to the verse that they're related with. And I'm doing my own preparation for teaching it to my children or to Sunday school. Or they can be assigned as a written assignment. And somebody recently shared with me this past week from Mataji's 3rd canto book. And she's typed 12, 13, and she's typing it out, she's 13, in a Google document, and she shared it with me for feedback. She actually lives in California now, but used to be my Sunday school student. Activities, we move on to some of the arts and crafts and moving activities that bring the chapter to life. So here's one called the White Lotus. In the preface to the 2nd verse, Prabhupada says, the next 17 of the ages called is that principles of religion, which are all spotlessly white, like the white lotus flower, will be attacked by the uncultured population of the age. So the aim is for children to understand why the bull represents religious principles, explore religious principles, and understand and explain the comparison to the white lotus flower. So these kind of analogies are really, really important for children to be able to make those connections with the world. And children who delve deeply into these analogies from the Bhagavatam find a lot of correlation with math and patterns and the analogies that come at you during standardized testing like SAT or ACT. So this one is a craft where the child takes white and green craft paper, pencil, scissors, and glue, and draws a lotus petal, and then cuts it out. And then there's some questions to explore the discussion further. Which animal is being compared to as white as the lotus flower? Why are the principles of religion compared to white lotus flower? And do you think it'd be easy to keep your white lotus clean? Why is the bull compared to the white lotus? So the conclusion of the discussion is the principles of religion are pure. This is why they're compared to a white lotus. And then just as a speck of dust is easily seen on a white lotus, similarly, when a religious principle is attacked, it's obvious that Kali Yuga is progressing. Another activity, artistic activity to make
Oh, yeah, a little bit more. No. Oh, you have
The
to.
wanted poster. Children really enjoyed this one. There are a lot of wanted templates. Even if you wanted to just download a template, if you just go on Google and you say wanted poster, I've done this where I've just downloaded a wanted template and then continue to work with this activity, or I've done it another way where we just start from scratch. So you create a poster and try to find a picture of the personality of Kali. It's easy to find this online or perhaps in a calendar or in a Back to Godhead magazine. A reward, a description of the crime, additional relevant items, and make it look artistic and authentic, and help the adult burn some of the edges. You know how like in Western cowboy wanted posters, some of the edges will be burned. So they're a fun one. Okay, several critical thinking activities to bring out the spiritual investigator in you. One is a debate. If you had the opportunity to address the government in your country with 5 recommendations, what would they be? So plan a speech to introduce your points and practice the speech, deliver it to a group of people, revise it, and then the group can play the part of the government and either accept or reject your recommendations. The other way to do this is to have 2 sides, so I have 4 students, so you split them into 2 that are offering recommendations, and then there's the president who is going to question or come up with counter arguments. A monarchy, a nice way to lead into a unit in social studies to study the forms of government. Conduct a project based on monarchy, right? Which countries have kings and queens and which countries don't. And you would be surprised. I mean, we think of, just Queen Elizabeth in England, and perhaps the Saudi Arabian countries, but there are so many countries. We actually did this research, went to the library and picked out books on monarchies, and we did some research on the Google Guru, and there's so many more monarchies than we realized. I think there are like 73 current monarchies. Discuss how the position of the monarchy has changed over time. So this is a really nice discussion of discussing how Vedic monarchy compares to current day monarchy. What powers do these kings or queens have? What powers did they previously have? How has this changed? Why do you think the change took place? How and why has public opinion changed by the importance of the monarchy? Probably a very relevant discussion right now with everything that's going on with the monarchy in England, with Prince Philip's death and Prince Harry leaving the monarchy. It's a very current topic. And then, did some kings abuse? Look at Henry VIII, who even changed his religion to suit his lifestyle choices. So a nice history lesson here. Moving on to another critical thinking activity, cow's contribution. Imagine you're giving a talk about the topic cow's contribution to our community. Gather dairy items to present that are made from milk, like butter, cheese, yogurt, cream, and milk.
I was wanting to show about Kunti. Because 8th chapter is all about. Yeah.
8th chapter?
Yeah, no, this is the chapter about Kunti.
17.
Oh, this is the 17th chapter?
Or 8th, sir.
I thought this is.
The beautiful details.
Keep moving.
And I also
Keep
liked,
moving.
there's a poem here.
Oh, this is a different one?
So,
This one, 8th
nice.
That wasn't.
17. That was it.
Oh, no wonder.
Key messages.
Okay, we got the wrong one. Okay, keep going. And then you see Kunti.
Myself, of the discussion,
You got the wrong
directly
one.
from Prabhupada's book, some deeper thinking.
Keep going.
And where there are 2 resources, Gopinath's book.
Yeah.
And he was much younger. Right now he's 10.
Okay, let's
but,
stop.
He wrote very briefly. And then I remember at that time my younger son, Shujiva, was even young.
Yeah, see, this is the family.
Verbally discussed with me.
Okay.
So again, ability to modify this, certainly an older child.
Okay, stop it. Yeah, let's stop. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Right. So, any questions or comments?
I put the last line.
Some of the parents, do you agree with what was presented, the difficulties parents are having with children, that there's a gap and they're not communicating and they're watching too much TV maybe, or mobile phones and things? So Any comments to endorse? By the way, it was incredibly nicely presented. Please, big round of applause for that. And never mind the children, some of the adults are, addicted to the phones from morning to evening. And I think we could learn from them.
Yeah. No, I have this one. No, I have. Yeah, I just like to add, madam, that this condition about the Mataji. Yeah, I'm becoming like my child only.
No problem.
Yeah, they always defy authority. They don't give respect to the parents because even in the school they're told you have to think differently. It has gone to so bad that, even the basic maths they want to do in a different way. For example, for writing x equal to 4, they write 4 equal to x. And then they keep arguing on that. Okay, it's a big, really struggle for especially teachers. Okay, the other thing I want to point is this problem with the mobile phone. The psychologists have made so much research on it. Just like you have claustrophobia and homophobia and all that, this is called nomophobia. N-O-M-O, phobia. So NOMO stands for no mobile. If you don't have a mobile, they get scared. Okay, they call it nomophobia, and it's a big problem. It's killing everyone, including adults and children and all that. Maybe they have to do some research or bring out some type of medicine for this. Otherwise, and now with the AI coming in, it's becoming really dangerous. Because AI takes care of everything. First of all, they take away all the jobs, and whatever time they have, they're spending on the mobile. Then what is life then? Right? So just like we're having very serious problems actually.
Yes, I completely understand that. What your frustration is, it's a fact. And people may not be speaking out about it, but every one of us in our secret hearts, we know this problem is existing, right, in families. And see, the only thing that will help is not our love, but divine power. We have to give them unconditional love. If you don't give them unconditional love, how are they going to give it to Krishna, right? So that is there. But also, our love, it doesn't always work, because at a time when the children are growing as into adolescence, their emotions are very turbulent. So many hormones are shooted in their body that they cannot understand themselves what's going on. These are, and that happens right around puberty. And they don't know why they're feeling the way they are feeling. And when we blame them, they become defensive, right? So we have to understand that these things are this is a no-action problem. In other words, their body is changing biologically, but also emotionally they're changing. The subtle body is also changing. Our acharyas have spoken a lot about this. You won't believe it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta. They have said that you cannot, children at this age are naturally look for bad association. Do you know that? They actually naturally look for bad association. I can read to you, I brought that sheet from the Harmonist paper, the weekly paper that Bhaktisiddhanta used to take out. He's given a whole series on parenting. And he's spoken that this is something that normally happens. When children grow to this age, they naturally want to rebel. They naturally want to, do the wrong thing, especially get into bad association. And you cannot do anything about it. It's actually a no-action problem. The only thing you can do is how to channel that into something better, into something pure. That's the only thing we can do. It's a natural tendency for children. We are fighting with the idea that why is it like that? Just like there's a storm, you're fighting that why is there a storm? Why I cannot go out? You cannot do it. Just by your willpower, you cannot change it. It's like that. These things are going to happen. The scars are going to be there, but how much you can minimize those scars. That is the key. And the only way to minimize those scars is to give them Krishna consciousness. Because at a certain point in our life, our commitment towards them is not going to stop them from going into the wrong things. Because the push is very strong. The emotional turbulence, the peer pressure is too strong. Even though at heart they're not bad kids. They want to be able to please you, but they cannot. You see, so that commitment is very important and it helps them, but it's not going to save them. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the only thing that helps is divine power. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in his paper, he said the only thing that helps them is divine power. Because when a child associates with Krishna and his devotees, what it does, it purifies the lower intelligence into higher intelligence. Okay. Forcefully, you cannot change it. You cannot change the lower intelligence to high force just by telling him or forcing it down. That you cannot do. It won't last too long because the heart is not yet clean. It's not cleansed of the lower intelligence, of the lower emotions. It needs to be cleansed, and the cleansing is, as you know, chanting the holy name and reading Shastra. That's the only thing that cleans it, that purifies it, that gives them a whole different, and this way they can overcome. So he said, you cannot, you cannot stop that, but you can help the soul move into this higher consciousness by association. In other words, they have a right to have fun and do all that, but the fun should be geared more to having fun with Krishna, just like the cowherd boys did, right? They went to the forest, they played. They were naughty like anything, right? So that's the nature of children, is to want to play and be naughty. Of course, when they're getting older, there's more responsibility. And because they cannot carry out those responsibilities, they actually clamp up because they know they need to be responsible. They're older, right? But they don't want to be because they're not trained well, right? And so then they shut down. The whole communication stops. So we have to help them to open up. When you do Bhagavatam, they open up. Communication becomes so wonderful. You develop such deep bonds because Bhagavatam elicits communication, inquiry. And very soon the child will tell you all about the school, what's going on in school. That's the only way. They will open up because the Bhagavatam story will make that happen to them. It will want them to reveal their hearts. Otherwise, it's a big wall there. As they grow older, nothing will stir them. So if you want to minimize these scars and make it into little scratches, this is the only way, is to give them divine association. Otherwise, very difficult.
Anyone else? I can, excuse me, can I pass, please? Haribol, Satish. Anyone else would like to make some question or comment on today's presentation? I can see it's a very, very topic dear to your hearts because of the turnout. You can see, okay, yes, we reached out, and some of you came because we reached out, but this subject is a sore subject for many of us. Those with children, but from my perspective, from our perspective as temple managers, also the grown-ups. The grown-ups, many of the problems the children are facing, even the grown-ups are facing, we can see it. We can see it. So anybody else who would like to quick comment? We're letting the program overrun today, but we have to. Because of the nature of the subject, it affects all of us. Anybody? Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So now what parents are trying that, like, for example, they are not keeping mobile phone with themselves, so that their kids, when they grown up, they don't know there is a mobile phone. So is that a good practice? Means nowadays parents are trying that, for that the child should not come near to a mobile, so they're not keeping the gadgets at home, but they're just using it outside. So I've seen a couple of cases like where the kids grown up to the 18 and they have not used the mobile. So is it a good practice? Like, will that child be a good one? Means after not using the mobile and all of a sudden got a mobile at the age of 18.
I don't know how that's possible because nowadays they give all the the
That's what I
schools
was
give
saying.
assignments.
Yeah, I've just seen some of the case studies. So,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
for
they-
example, some
Other countries, I think.
Abhishek Bachchan Bollywood. So,
Yeah.
his
Now people are
girl,
waking
so-
up to the whole thing, and there are places where schools where there's no, no mobile at all over there, So, but these are, special things. Most schools are, children are having assignments that they have to go to the internet. The schools are requiring. I mean, 5-year-olds are walking around with an iPad. It's like, you can't get away from it. So that's the thing, is but to delay the child having it as long as you can. That's the main thing. And if you can talk to the school and see if he can or she can avoid it, how it all can be worked out, that is possible. You can try doing that, right? And put softwares and for control and all that. And the main thing is to give them the higher taste. There's no other way, really, is to give them the higher taste. To do everything possible, in terms of where they are associating, who they are associating with, right? It's very important because we have to remember this is their reality. When they go and they have friends, this is everything for them, right? So how do you change that desire? That's the main thing, right? Okay.
Okay. So your question is, these people are trying out what Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, did with his own children. He knew what the mobile would do. So his own children, he said, I will deny them a phone till they're 16 or 18, whatever. He said, no phones for them. Yeah. But worldwide, many different people, as Mataji said, have woken up to this problem. It is a problem. It's not just a nuisance, it's a big problem. And many people are trying different things. So Australia started by having a ban on social media for children. It's going to be tough, and other governments are now showing interest in how is it going, and we want to maybe try it. I just want to say that in this temple, I mentioned I was at the Bhakti Vriks yesterday. I just want to, just to emphasize that Srila Prabhupada, I mentioned Mataji the other, recently I've been saying, Srila Prabhupada has given us a syllabus through his books. Through his books, he's given us a syllabus for spiritual education. And I say again and again, ISKCON is the best spiritual education institute in the world. Best spiritual education institute in the world at all levels, not just children. So please, this temple is embarking on an extension project. Many have responded, but there are many new faces here. I'm not making an appeal right now, but please realize the importance of a temple like this. We have a Bal Gopal club, but hopefully with an extended temple, we'll have better facility, and maybe we can somewhere incorporate study of these scriptures for the children. It'd be really, really nice. But just letting me aware that realize that we are doing our best, and we will do better when we have a bigger temple. Please support us in our endeavors.
I think we should buy a set.
Definitely the temple will be buying set for our Bal Gopal club. Yeah. But others, I encourage them also. And if you buy them, you can also get Mother to sign them, It'd be nice. Hare Krishna. That table will stay there, and Mataji will move her chair there also. So that can happen. We're also celebrating today one birthday from our long-term, friends of the temple, Navdeep and Sugandha Agarwal. And whose birthday is it? Well, both of them, of course, they're very near each other. Of course, they're both the children. Neil and, I keep forgetting the Navya. Neil and Navya. But we're also saying a sad goodbye to Shaurya. Is she? Okay. So there you are hiding there. Okay, Shaurya and her parents are here. So we Chaitanya Kumar Agarwal and Divya Agarwal, they are also sponsoring today's feast because it's the last day of Purushottam Mass. last day of Jerusalem Mass, which has been such a lovely month, auspicious month, where many spiritual things, you can engage in many spiritual activities. And also the Navdeep and Sugandha Gawal also sponsoring because of the birthdays. So we thank them very much. Round of applause for them, please. If we stand up now, we will do our thing. If you just make space as much as possible, please. Being the last month of Personal Mass, we will also be inviting you to come and offer a diva on a stick to the deities on the altar. Please just follow the other devotees.
Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chan Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chan.
Can somebody come and do the jyots, please? The jyot on a stick. Can somebody come and... Yeah? Okay.
Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chan Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chan. Ki bajayo jayo Gora Chander Aratik Sobha.
Jayo jayo Gora Chande Arati ko sobha.
Ki bajayo jayo Gora Chander Aratik Sobha.
Iba jayo jayo Gora Chande Arati ko sobha.
Jana Vitatavane Jagaman Lobha.
Jana Vitatavane Jagaman Lobha.
Dakhin Nitai Chan Bame Gadadhara.
Dakhine Nitai Chan Bame Gadagada.
Nikate Advaita Srini Vasa Chatradhara.
Nikate Advaita Srini Vasha Chatradhara.
Bose Ache Gora Chan Ratna Simhasane.
Vashi Ache Gora Chan Ratna Simhasane.
Arati Karena Brahma Adi Devagane.
Arati kore na Brahma Adi Devagane.
Narari Adi Kari Chamaradulaya.
Narhari Adi Kori Chamaradulaya.
Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Goshadigaya.
Anjaya Mukunda
शिव बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वल
बाहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी
काल देशे बाणमाल कोरे जलमाल शिवा सुख नारदा प्रेमे गडगाड भक्ति विनोदा देखे गोरार संपादा शिव जय जय गोरा चांदे आरतिक शोभा जानावी तातावाने जग मन लोभा गोरांगेरारतिक शोभा जग जनमान लोभा गोरांगेरारतिक शोभा जग जनमान लोभा निताय गुर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गुर हरि बोल निताय गुर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गुर हरि बोल
नामयो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने
विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे प्रभु श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंदा Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta
Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Gaur
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna
Bolo bolo
Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Bolo bolo
Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama
Hari
Hare
Bol! Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Oh,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Oh,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare
Oh,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
জগন্নাথ
মণিমা।
স্বামী নয়ন পথগামী নয়ন
জগন্নাথ।
পথগামী ভব তুমি
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी नायन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें
जगन्नाथ
ए
स्वामी
मणिमा
नयन पथगामी नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी नायन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय जगन्नाथ
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय
जय जगन्नाथ
जय जगन्नाथ
जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय जगन्नाथ
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय जगन्नाथ
जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा
जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा
जगन्नाथ स्वामी
जय जगन्नाथ
नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें
जय सुदर्शन
जय हो
जय सुदर्शन जय सुदर्शन रक्षामा
जय सुदर्शन जय सुदर्शन जय सुदर्शन रक्षामा
जय सचिनंदन
गौरंगा
जय सचिनंदन गौरहरि
जय सचिनंदन गौर हरे जय सचिनंदन गौर हरे
जय निताय जय निताय जय निताय
जय निताचान जय निताचान जय निताचान जय निताचान
जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे
जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे
जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे
जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे
जय गिरि गोवर्धन गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन
जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन
जय श्री मधुसूदन श्री मधुसूदन श्री मधुसूदन जय श्री मधुसूदन
जय श्री मधुसूदन श्री मधुसूदन जय श्री मधुसूदन
जय मानिमा मानिमा जय मानिमा
मानिमा मानिमा मानिमा जय मानिमा
जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल
राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल
जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल
राधा रमन हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमन हरि बोल
जय हो सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय हो सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय हो सीताराम लक्ष्मण
जय सिया राम
सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय हो सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जयो प्रभुपाद जयो
जय प्रभुपाद।
प्रभुपाद Jayo Prabhupada Jagat Guru.
Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jayo Prabhupada, Jagat Guru.
Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jayo Prabhupada, Jagat Guru.
Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jayo Prabhupada, Jagat Guru.
Jayo Prabhupada, Jagat Guru.
Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Jagat Guru.
Jayo Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Gurudev, Gurudev. Jayo Gurudev, Patite Pavo.
Jayo Gurudev, Jayo Gurudev, Jayo Gurudev, Patita Pavan.
Jayo Gurudev, Jayo Gurudev, Gurudev. Jayo Gurudev, Patite Pavo.
Jayo Gurudev, Jayo Gurudev, Jayo Gurudev, Patita Pavan.
Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur,
Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur,
Hari Bol. Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Gaur Premanande.
Jai Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sat Shri Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Bibidi Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Shri Sachinanditai Chand ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Madhav Shri Radha Raman Lal ki Jai. Shri Mani Mashi Madhusri Giri Raj ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, ISKCON Coventry Yatra ki Jai, ISKCON Worldwide Yatra ki Jai, Gaura Premanand Hari Bol, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. We will very quickly to Narsingati now. There are many people who require Narsingati's blessings. Please, let's think of all of them. And if some devotees like Kratu Prabhu have passed away recently, so we're remembering those devotees. Hare Krishna. Is he Jai Bhattam Swami? Okay, nice to see you. Okay. And let's.
So where is Tiksha? Can you get the Tiksha to sing? Namaste. Huh? Are they coming? Call them. Somebody's going to go call them or just stand there? Call the Tiksha. Yeah, but bring them. Where are they? So now remember, children, headmistress is sitting there. You're going to sing this nicely, and you're going to give us marks afterward.
Namaste Narasingaya. Praladadadayina.
Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam.